Alright guys, welcome back for once again another video of some of the most interesting upcoming open world RPG games coming up mainly in 2021 and some beyond. The year 2020 is coming to an end, so now is a perfect time to get excited for what's coming, and God knows how many delays into 2021 that we've had this year. So there is fortunately a lot of games to get excited for. As always, make sure action RPG set in a universe you've never experienced before, as said by the developers. Play as one of the Forsaken, the last frontier of humanity against the growing horrors of the Omni structure. As you find yourself stranded in a faraway outpost, you must adapt in order to survive. The world won't wait for you though, you must venture into the unknown. Your faith will decide your fate. Feel the burden of surviving in one of the last remaining outposts of the Forsaken, a legion of hunters condemned to protect the last vestige of humanity. The nature of your purpose, however, is shrouded in mystery, and as you delve deeper into the manifold halls of the Omni structure, you will come to find the true meaning of alienation, isolation, and dread. It is a cross between cyberpunk and dark fantasy. Bleak Fate will offer a story and experience that will be a breath of fresh air for all gamers looking for something new. The world is filled with lore, and every aspect of it is crafted with utmost passion and a dedication to art. As a baseline, there is an estimated 30+ hours of content, a deep class system, and a procedural AI system that ensures no playthrough is ever the same. The open world employs both massively vast open areas and more linear openness in Metroidvania fashion for some good fights. I cannot wait to play this. Next up, we have Far Cry 6. The reveal trailer for Far Cry 6 introduces its main villain, Yara's dictator Anton Castillo, and his son Diego. Anton is intent on suppressing a guerrilla revolution by any means necessary, with Diego following in his footsteps. The open world itself will be completely different than other Far Cry games, as this one will include horses riding, with different islands to explore, cities, and a main city where the main villain will be. You'll be able to have gunfights in the close-quartered streets and parkour up on the roofs of the city. Ubisoft says that the nation's living postcard aesthetic and vintage cars were inspired by Cuba. Esperanza is its capital city, the first main urban environment in a Far Cry game, which Ubisoft says will play a bit differently from past games. Being able to run across rooftops, use back alleys, fight against some of the toughest opponents in the game in this setting, we think is a really unique and fresh, said Ubisoft. You'll be able to choose to play Far Cry 6 as a man or woman, which both characters are part of a revolution to stop Anton Castillo's reign of terror. Ubisoft said that Anton witnessed his own father being executed 50 years ago, part of how he rationalized his policies and the views that he attempts to pass on to his own son Diego. He and his son are the only one that can reign in this place. Let me know if you guys are excited for it. Next up, we have Crimson Desert, one of my most anticipated games to date in 2021, definitely. This medieval open world game is looking absolutely beautiful and could definitely take on games like The Elder Scrolls 6 for example. It will include a full single player campaign as well as online, so fans of both will be pretty happy about that. Crimson Desert is an open world action RPG, but it kind of throws away much of the Black Desert's MMO elements in favor of a single player campaign with lighter multiplayer overlap, which I'm pretty happy about for this kind of game. I'm always up for a medieval story. Crimson Desert is set on the continent of Pyworld, which you explore as Macduff, a mercenary who enlists the help of his old crew to reclaim their lost homeland. Macduff is Crimson Desert's main character, but the developer still promises in-depth character customization that can change his whole look. A new generation of weapons has emerged alongside the old pistols besides swords, cannon besides axes, and even hand-mounted cannons. With a vast range of weapons and countless customization options, what you wield and how you wield it all depends on the type of warrior you want to be. Crimson Desert has a vast continent of divided regions inhabited by people struggling to survive in its ever-changing lands. From the vast plains of Akapon to the inhospitably cold lands of Quidden or the barren desert, each region possesses its own unique beauty, its characters to meet and monsters to fight. You won't be able to take on the many threats that exist across the lands alone, but you're in luck since you'll have a group of your own mercenaries to rely on, either bots or online friends. Super hyped for this. Next up, we have Chrono Odyssey. Chrono Odyssey is an epic fantasy, massively multiplayer or single player if you like, RPG about time and space. This project visualizes the story of members of the special organization called Etrugin, waging a huge war against 12 gods. In Chrono Odyssey, players can experience a vast world with immersive stories, universe, and realistic graphics. Moreover, players can also enjoy unique job systems, maps that transcend time and space, random dungeon utilizing multiple spaces, large-scale RVR contents, high strategies, and excellent combat actions. Also, Chris Velasco, a global game music composer known for God of War, StarCraft, and Overwatch, participated in composing the soundtrack. Currently in production for release on PC as well as mobile, the developers had shared their desire to see Chrono Odyssey transition to PS5 and Xbox Series X following its initial release, which would definitely be something interesting to see. Next up, we have Elden Ring. Oh, Elden Ring, where has this game gone? Ever since its announcement more than a year ago at E3 2019, people have been begging for a new trailer, or simply a sign that this game still exists. Well, it definitely does exist, thanks to its developers confirming it is still in heavy development as we speak, but no more than that for now. Elden Ring is an upcoming open-world RPG developed by From Software and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It introduces a new open world where players can expect a larger world scale, allowing freedom of exploration with different mounts and unique bosses to fight. It also highlights a significant amount of RPG elements, with a wide variety of weapons, magic, and ways to engage enemies with the strategies that suit you. Elden Ring will have a truly dark fantasy setting where the story revolves around the Elden Ring itself. Legend has it that the ring holds unimaginable power, that which commanded the stars, giving life its fullest brilliance, and that the ring has been destroyed by something or someone. This then leads to the destruction and decay of the world, the sky burning, and brings parallels to the collapsing sun of the Souls universe. I'm definitely covering this game whenever we have something. Next up, we have Dying Light 2, another open-world RPG that completely disappeared from the map after being delayed indefinitely. This was one of my most anticipated game of 2020, but since we don't have any news on it, I lost a bit of interest, but I'm sure it'll go back up once Techland reveals something new. Here's what they had to say concerning the delay. Delaying the game opened opportunities to nail down the story part of the game, also the choices our players can make, as well as up the level of open-world opportunities that player will face. Building this world takes time, and we want Dying Light 2 to be the evolution of what we started with in the first game. Techland says it has doubled the parkour options this time around, with moves that are all very smooth, and some more moves that we haven't seen yet, which will make parkour super fun. Dying Light 2 takes place in a completely different open world than the first one, which will also be 4 times larger than the original's map. While the main story will take around 15 to 20 hours to complete, as said, wrapping up everything will take closer to 100 hours or more. The developer said it is very hard to measure in an open world game how long it actually takes to complete the game because of the things that happen between points A and points B of a quest. So basically it's up to you how you play it. Each decision made in the game will also change the course of the story, and not just side quests but the main story itself and the world around you. It can be a darker and cruel world because of you, or a happier and kinder world. Next up, we have Atomic Heart, which is looking like a weird Russian Soviet Union Bioshock Fallout mix project, and I absolutely love it. The game is an alternate reality Soviet-era first-person combat game with all kinds of dangerous robots, clown torture laboratories, mannequins that are alive, and a lot more weird stuff. The combat itself is a mixture of shooting and melee swinging with weapons that you created yourself, the events of which unfold in an alternative universe during the high noon of the Soviet Union. The main character of the game is a special agent who was sent to a highly secret object by the Soviet government after it went radio silent. Facility 3826 is filled with malfunctioning robots that were originally designed to serve Soviet citizens and the industrial workforce, but were completely abandoned. All of them were programmed for combat should war arise, and coincidentally they work pretty well when you're around around them, so be careful. The game will also have no loading screen at all. Next-gen hardware also provides an exclusive opportunity for the developers to fulfill their artistic vision and deliver the game with stunning visuals, with no downgrading at all, which was absolutely essential for current gen. Next up, we have Hogwarts Legacy, my most anticipated game of 2021, ever since the game leaked in 2018. Hogwarts Legacy is an immersive, open-world action RPG set in the world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. Now you can take control of the action and be at the center of your own adventure in the wizarding world. Embark on a journey through familiar and new locations as you explore and discover fantastic beasts, customize your character and craft potions, master spell casting, upgrade talents, and become the wizard you want to be. Experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. Your character is a student who holds the key to an ancient secret that threatens to tear the wizarding world apart. You have received a late acceptance to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and soon discover that you are no ordinary student. You possess an unusual ability to perceive and master ancient magic. Only you can decide if you will protect this secret for the good of all, or yield to the temptation of more sinister magic. Discover the feeling of living at Hogwarts as you make allies, battle dark wizards, and ultimately decide the fate of the wizarding world. Your legacy is what you make of it. This game will be all about the decisions you make. Finally, we have Stalker 2, the highly anticipated sequel to the Chernobyl post-apocalyptic open world, is finally coming after so many years of its announcement. The game will be a unique blend of FPS, immersive sim, and horror, with a really thick atmosphere. One of the biggest open world to date is yours to explore, along with an epic branching story with multiple endings, as said by the developers. The game will have a simultaneous release on PC and Xbox Series X. Stalker 2 will also enter Xbox Game Pass on console on day 1. The zone in Stalker 2 is one of the biggest seamless open worlds to date. The game will feature an epic non-linear story, and every choices will influence both short-term consequences and global outcomes. The developers aren't ready to share more information on the project as of yet, but make sure to stay tuned as I will definitely be covering it when we do have more. Alright guys, that is all for today's video. If you'd like to see more videos like this on upcoming games, then make sure to drop a like, and of course you subscribe to stay tuned.